All right, Matty, welcome back to the Ask Matty Show. Banger show we have for the team here today. But Matty, how are you feeling?
Hey, I'm doing great. I love getting here Monday mornings, banging out a bunch of content for you guys, and especially answering your crypto questions. So I'm pumped.
Yes, Matty, we got a lot of good questions today, but team, we're going to be taking a real good focus on Casper today. A lot of questions regarding Casper today. We also have some other questions regarding Bitcoin and XRP, but the main focus today is for Casper. But I do have to say, team, before we get into the content here, become a CryptoCharged member. There will be a link in the pinned comment below. I'm not going to go into the rest. I have like a laundry list of things I want to announce, but that will be at the end of the show. So please stay until the end. But now we're going to get into the content. Matty, are you ready?
Let's do this thing.
Magitech quarterback 21 says, very deep question here, why Casper?
And it's a good question, right? I think that when someone says this asset's great, or this asset to this many dollars, or this asset for adoption over the next 5 to 10 years, those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Why are you actually bullish on these things, right? Because everyone can say it's the next ETH killer, or it's going to do this because it's already done this performance-wise, right? And those are just very lazy things to say, in my opinion. Right. You need to be doing a little bit of research, understanding what issues are out there and how this particular solution can be applied to those particular problems. So I actually did a presentation with my business partner, Dan Habib. We did a little webinar kind of covering a little bit of the macro, talking a bit about kind of the story of Bitcoin and the long-term vision there, but then also taking a look at kind of just the fundamentals of my top 3 coins and as to why I'm bullish on those, not just from a technical perspective, but from a fundamental perspective. So I actually have the slide here for you guys. We can take a look at a couple of those points here. So really, first and foremost, again, and I know that everyone wants to talk about business and enterprise adoption, but when you look at the Casper model, everything is very, very easily created. So right now, if I wanted to go create a smart contract, or to mint an NFT, or to even create my own meme coin if I wanted to on Casper, it's so simple, it's so straightforward, and I'm able to do that with their in-house suite of products. It's very, very simple to do. So I don't have to build my own environment in order to interact with the Casper network. We also have those smart contract, upgradable contracts, right? So a lot of times, you have this limited flexibility with smart contracts on networks like Ethereum and other networks that do offer smart contracts. And that's fine because we're still very early on in this process. But if you have the ability to amend, upgrade, and change those contracts to your specific needs as times go on, make them more complex, allow for more contingencies, allow for other safeguards, allow for other multi-sig configurations, you're giving enterprises and individuals the ability to create the products that are necessary for their particular problems, right? Predictable gas fees is another thing that we talked a lot about, especially when we talk about Ethereum, right? Ethereum is kind of the go-to because it's just been so expensive, and it was kind of the granddaddy of decentralized applications being built. But those fees are super unpredictable, so you have no idea what you're going to be paying, and that could be from a minute-to-minute basis. During certain types of times of market volatility. We've talked about this previously with API 3. Hey, I do my weekly sweep into cold storage. There's a little bit of Ethereum fee that I pay to get that into cold storage, but then I also go to stake that up. And when I go to stake that up, sometimes I take a step back and I go, whoa, this is an enormous fee to stake this, this API 3, even I look at my long-term goal of, sale price down the road, this just doesn't make sense, right? It's eating into my profit. So what I'll actually do is I'll wait a day or two, and then I'll go to look and restake. And more often than not, I'm paying an exponentially less fee. With Casper, it's 70 Casper every single time. You know what that Casper's fee is going to be. You don't have to go and see what it's going to be. You can just say 70 Casper times current market price, and that is the fee to launch a smart contract, mint an NFT, or again, launch your own meme coin if that's something you wanted to do. And of course, it's proof of stake. Not that this is necessarily so proprietary, but I am actually a big fan of proof of stake. Obviously, Hashgraph and directed acyclic graphs are going to be even more efficient than proof of stake. So of course, for payments, I think that those are some really, really big plays. But I just don't see the big value in proof of work other than the decentralized factor of it. As someone who enjoys liberty, as someone who enjoys the idea of decentralized peer-to-peer, payments, I think that it's a beautiful concept. But when we look at long-term adoption, right, I think that proof of stake is just far more efficient. There's just a lot of complexities with proof of work. There's a lot of costs associated with proof of work. And as time goes on, the reward for that proof of work model continues to go down, right? So you have like kind of this smaller incentive as time goes on to secure the network via proof of work. So again, I'm not saying Bitcoin collapses because the reward becomes less. I just think that proof of stake is a more attractive model to enterprises versus paying a fluctuating gas fee.
BL-yield. What is this name? I'm getting really tired of explaining to my family why crypto and BTC is the best investment right now. What do you say to your fam?
I actually only have maybe 2 family members that are actually in crypto, and they're not my parents. I've been talking to them about crypto since 2016. They've seen that I've made some decent money over years. They know that I do this professionally for the last 2+ years. And for some people, their risk appetite just isn't there, right? They just look at it and they go, wow, this is a little too much volatility. I don't really understand the internet money side of things, right? They don't understand that there are protocols that are solving a lot of different, very specific problems, right? Bitcoin doesn't solve the same problems ETH does. ETH doesn't solve the same problems that VeChain does. They're not all trying to do the exact same thing. So you have this general perception of crypto that Bitcoin makes up all of crypto, and that every other coin out there is also trying to be money and replace money. And they just don't understand this concept of why would I want to take my dollars that are always worth $1, even though they're not, right? We know that there's a steady rate of inflation that erodes your purchasing power. So you just have a guaranteed rate of loss versus, I guess, a guaranteed rate of growth. But I think that for some people, especially if they don't have the risk appetite, they don't have the interest, they're just never going to learn until it's easy enough for them. So when we do have, ETFs, and you also have indexes, I think that's really where we start to see the adoption set in. When you have somebody who's able to go buy an equivalent of the Dow Jones, the equivalent of the NASDAQ, equivalent of the S&P 500, but with baskets of crypto, right? Maybe the Dow Jones being, kind of the Bitcoins and the ETHs and the Solanas and the AVAXs, and then you have, other indices that are capturing other verticals or smaller caps, right? Those are going to be the avenues that really get your friends and family into investing into crypto. But right now, even if I were to tell them, hey, I've got 10 great stock pick ideas, it's just too much for them, right? They don't have the emotional capacity for it. They don't have the mental capacity for it. They just want to buy the index and say, over time, am I going to make 10, 15, 20% per year and see this thing grow? For the majority of people, that's the most amount of risk they're willing to take with their money. Now, for people like you and me, people who see the vision for it, people who have been really getting into the fundamentals of it, and they're like, wow, this tech is actually going to be revolutionary well beyond just money, looking deeper into the future of, how this is, changing the way that securities are settled, seeing that metals could be settled this way, seeing that we're going to be making, supply chains more efficient, and logistics are going to be based off of blockchain and DLT, right? We see that vision now, but just like the internet, just like the cell phone, right? There's so many critics, so many naysayers, and a lot of that is because of the market volatility. And they start to say this tech is no good because it's a volatile asset class. But that's not how it works, right? Because if I were to offer you, 10,000 shares of Nvidia, you go, yeah, of course, yeah, hell yeah, give me the Nvidia shares, because price is going up, even if you don't know anything about GPUs, right? They're a very successful tech company. They make great products. That their stock does well over long periods of time. So again, I think that it's just a matter of time before we see that adoption set in. But the addition of ETFs and the addition of crypto indexes absolutely going to accelerate that growth exponentially.
Wow, Matty, that got me hyped. That was like a pregame speech. Authentic football _02 says, if you only got to bet on one alt this run, which coin would you choose? Banger questions today. Banger questions.
Homie, don't play that. It's really tough to just pick one, right? Because it's like, I feel like I've already concentrated my portfolio so heavily compared to most of the other people who are into altcoins. I actually saw this super hilarious meme, and it was like, when you first discover the altcoin market, it's your first altcoin market, and it's the Boy Scout with 500 patches, right? Because you don't want to miss anything, right? And you feel like you need to spread your portfolio so thin. And I feel like I've really just narrowed it down so much, and I'm probably even missing some verticals, and I'm probably missing some opportunities out there. But you just can't hop on every opportunity. So, I guess if we were to say we're talking about just this cycle and you don't care about any additional cycles beyond this particular cycle, I would say Casper is probably your better bet out of my biggest holdings right now. Jeez. I would say Zcash is also pretty close in there. I would have a hard time steering you away from Zcash because the technical upside is so good. I will be dumping all of my Zcash though at the top of this next cycle because I just see other rotational opportunities that are going to give me better ROI as the cycles go on. So I would say probably Casper is your best bet this time around from a technical perspective. However, I see the long-term vision of XRP and adoption is already on a path of higher trajectory than Casper. Now, I think over long time periods of time, Casper probably outpaces XRP if you're buying in now, right? And you're holding on to some of that long-term. But I think that we already have that sticky adoption case set in now with XRP, especially with regulatory clarity, especially with Ripple being worth, potentially billions of dollars over the coming years, right? And already having all these relationships with the banks and around the world, building CBDCs, right? I think that picture is already set and clear. So, short term, I think Casper though probably has better upside.
Stone Panda says, curious, what are your thoughts on Casper not being listed on major exchanges? Do you feel it's going to affect the potential? Your thoughts. Matty, we've had this question before, but that last portion right there is really like different than all the other ones. Obviously, Casper is not on Coinbase, but do you think that affects the price and what we should expect for this bull run?
I don't think so. And, I think that we get surprised a lot of the time with T1 listings, right? We're not expecting it most of the time. You get the listing and the price goes ballistic because you get an additional listing. But, more often than not, it's not so much that you see that continuation because of the T1 listing. A lot of times you get just this perfect timing of that T1 listing already in the midst of a bull market. Everyone's like, see, Coinbase listed it, so that's why we're doing another 20x. But the reality is price was probably already going to do what it's going to do. Look at XRP volume, right? If you look at XRP volume, even prior to those other T1 exchanges relisting, right? Where was the only places US citizens could buy with fiat, right? It was Uphold. That was the only place. And that's a small exchange. If you go on CoinMarketCap, you actually don't even see Uphold listed there, even though they're one of the bigger custodians of XRP and they're one of the bigger custodians of Casper right now. So you got this 2x pop overnight on XRP, even though you have other foreign exchanges that are listing it. I think you also need to consider like KuCoin, for example, who has Casper listed and has had it listed for quite some time, is one of the biggest exchanges in the entire world. Just because you can't directly access it with your fiat on rails doesn't mean that millions of other people around the world can't also access this market, right? I think that we're seeing the entire market wake up right now. We saw a very nice pop in Casper over that 50-week moving average recently. I think we're definitely seeing a lot more price action now that we're seeing alts move collectively, right? A lot of coins that everyone said projects or coins or projects were dead are very much not dead, right? We're seeing them come alive. We're seeing them break over major resistance. And that's just kind of part of the altcoin market. It's so easy in the earlier phases to kind of start doubting projects because they haven't reached your exact expectations. XRP, for example, hasn't reached my $1.25 short-term expectation yet, but I'm not going to get any more or less bullish just because they didn't do it first, right? There's no way of telling that AVAX was going to go to first or that Solana was going to go to first, right? It could have easily been XRP or Casper or HBAR or any of these, right? Anything could have gone first. And I think that's one of the main things that people get frustrated with is like they sit there and they're like, we need this T1 listing. The community is not big enough. This is the only way to get the price action I'm looking for. But we have so many examples of other coins that never had a T1 listing, right? And did 60, 100x. Doge is a great example of that, right? People had to go into the depths of hell back in the day to go buy Doge, right? And basically, try to find these creative ways to buy Doge that wasn't easily available on Coinbase, right? And it still did exponential returns, over that cycle. So I just want you guys to understand that yes, a T1 listing is very valuable because it provides liquidity, it brings on more retail users, it definitely can bring more volume. But I would not say that a T1 listing is the only way to bring volume to a project and not just meme projects.
Lucia says, how do you get a drop in Bitcoin dominance? My apologies, I'm not familiar with how this market works.
So Bitcoin dominance, first of all, good question. And Bitcoin dominance is probably one of the important concepts and charts that you should pay attention to, especially as we progress through this retracement and eventually into new all-time highs, is that Bitcoin dominance is kind of like a compass. And we're able to use Bitcoin dominance in the sense of a pivot zone between altcoin performance and Bitcoin performance. So when we look at Bitcoin dominance previously, right, you look at before the altcoin market came online, Bitcoin, commanded nearly 98, 99% of all of the market, right? It made up 99% of the market. So Bitcoin dominance was exponentially high for a very long time. As we saw that first bull market come in that everybody really was a part of, right? We're looking at, 2017, 2018, right? We're looking at that cycle. We saw more altcoins come online and we saw that dominance start to plummet very dramatically, right? And that dominance, as it plummets, gives the altcoin market permission to flourish and outpace Bitcoin during those periods. Now, the caveat to that is that you still need a stable to slightly rising Bitcoin price while Bitcoin dominance falls. What you don't want to see is Bitcoin dominance falling and Bitcoin just absolutely getting its teeth knocked in because altcoins are most likely going to follow suit, maybe getting hurt slightly less, but overall, when you see that relationship, it's not a good relationship. However, when you see Bitcoin dominance falling and a relatively stable Bitcoin price or a slightly rising Bitcoin price, that's when you generally get to see some of these altcoins flourish. And we saw that most recently. We barely even saw a big drop in dominance. It's like a 2% drop in dominance. And we saw a lot of altcoins having plus 20, plus 30, plus 40% days, right? And we're not even in the actual bull market yet. We're very much within a retrace right now. We examined total 3. You guys can see that we've actually barely just pierced this 600 plus day period where we were just stuck, really not doing a whole lot, just kind of ranging, not doing anything. We barely have just broken that in the last 45, 50 days here, right? So us seeing this kind of this pullback here, seeing the whole market pullback is a very healthy thing. Seeing dominance kind of, take a little bit of a breather and still giving Bitcoin the opportunity to push a little higher is a good thing. So, when you're using Bitcoin dominance, you want to use that as compass. As you see Bitcoin dominance rising, you're going to get better returns, maybe looking to leverage trade Bitcoin to the upside. As you see Bitcoin dominance dropping, you should be shifting your attention to the altcoin market to look for opportunities to go leverage there.
227 Matatan says, what do you think happens first? XRP 34 billion market cap catches up to Tether's market cap 70 billion, or Solana's $27 billion market cap catches to XRP?
I think we could just kind of talked about this like a couple questions ago, right? There's no way to say which goes first, right? If we were to say historically, how has this occurred? XRP is actually one of the later bloomers in the cycle. So if we were to go based off of what has historically happened, which does not necessarily predict the future, and again, I don't see any reason why XRP couldn't go in the middle of the cycle versus the later half of the cycle, and they're about roughly about the same now. Solana is a leader within this market cycle right now, right? We saw Solana and AVAX, Link, Solana, and AVAX is kind of the three that did the biggest pops at the beginning of this altcoin breakout. Now they have taken breathers. Hadn't seen other altcoins have the opportunity to catch up. XRP really hasn't had that opportunity to make that move yet. I have shown many charts though of XRP cooking up in this huge pennant, right? Making a massive higher low since we had that 2018 high, right? We haven't made a new high since 2018. Been cooking up there in a long time. When XRP does explode, I think that it absolutely blows Solana out of the water. I don't want to make a prediction on to say which happens first. There's really not a way to say this happens first. I think they both surpass 70 billion though.
Oh, I love that. Matty, it's an interesting time right now because some of your picks are maybe not other people's picks, but maybe I've seen some very curious questions about, XRP, even about Casper, even though it pumped a little bit the other day and we were having a little celebration last week. It felt like, because like CryptoCharged community, if you're not buying Casper, then you're probably not a part of our community. Like, I feel like it's like, one of the prongs to enter at this point. And something I've been seeing on TikTok a lot is about like when are these assets going to do what Solana is doing right now, what some of these other, cryptos that been around for a minute, I'm like waiting on the edge of my seat for a crypto like XRP to just go ballistic, Matty. And what is your anticipation with that? Because it was so funny last week, me and Matty, we did our recording last week and you gave out this crazy like Casper long and you put it on Twitter, you put it everywhere and you like nailed it to like the T. And it was an amazing trade. So, like, are you going to be doing the same thing with XRP? Because I want to hop on top of that. But are you looking for all these other altcoins that are going to probably make that ballistic move since all these other altcoins, I know we're kind of cooling off right now, but some of these other altcoins are like, I feel it in my bones, Matty,
Absolutely. I'm definitely taking advantage of a lot of the leverage trading ideas right now. When we were in this chopping period, right, of trading, it's very difficult to make a lot of successful leverage trades just because you don't have that directional confirmation. So sorry about that, team. Now that we have directional confirmation, when we get these big red days, it actually makes me more bullish because the longer we march away from breakout zones and we don't do a proper and successful backtest of those breakout zones, I become more and more cautious. Now, that's not to say I'm not going to get down on 5 and 15-minute charts and look for continuation patterns and, try to make some money, which I have been. I've been making trades on XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Render, Casper. I've just been really glued to the charts pretty much the last week and a half, and we've made some really, really good trades doing a lot of leverage trading. So when we get these big pullbacks like this, right, and I think that maybe we have a little bit further to fall. Again, this is December 11, so don't hold me to this if this is later on. We've already pumped, right? But, I think we could pull back a little bit more here. It's been a very, very aggressive rally, but I think we do, especially like I said, we look at total 3 breaking out. This looks like a back test in progress of the altcoin market breaking out, meaning that we probably have a lot of altcoins, like we mentioned, like XRP, that really haven't done those proportional moves like we've been looking for, that are probably gearing up for those moves. So I'm absolutely going to be identifying some areas of interest for my team, layering in some different leverage ideas, probably maybe 4 or 5 different leverage ideas. Again, I don't want to be spread too thin. Want to have the opportunity to maybe add to those positions as we go. But that's definitely one of the things that I'm going to be capitalizing here. Of course, my long-term bags, very excited to see those kind of doing better than they were over the last 2 years, right? But really my hyper focus right now is not so much about DCA and accumulation, more it is about leverage trading, because those opportunities are a lot more profitable when you have those directional confirmations like we have now. So I'm very excited for the next 12 to 18 months.
I like that, Matty. All right, team, announcement time. Give me some grace here because we got a couple things to talk about. So Matty at the top of this episode showed that Casper chart, the 5-prong or 6 points that he had there. That chart or that little slide there was from the webinar. He mentioned that, but team, that webinar is live. Click the pin link. I'll put it in the pin comment down there. Go check that out. Dan and Matt absolutely went ham on that, talking about the macro, talking about the US, Bitcoin, cryptos, Matty's favorite cryptos. We won't, share all the cryptos Matty talked about, but you can go watch that. That's in the pinned comment down below. Highly suggest that. We're going to be doing more webinars like that, more longer streams. I know we keep it to 20 to 25 minutes here, but that's longer. You can really get a lot of good info from there. And I doubt you're going to get it anywhere else, honestly. I'm going to be serious. A second thing, a little bit more fun. Me and Matty, we're doing a special edition Christmas show. We confirmed that this morning. And because someone in the Discord, so you got to be in the Discord, someone dropped it. And we were like, it was like Friday. And someone dropped it. I'm like, that's a great idea. You're in a happy mood on Friday, Matty. So it's like, yeah, let's do that. So drop your portfolios down below. I'm going to be taking the most interesting, the best. I mean, if you can throw your dollar amount down there, go ahead. We'll put some up on Twitter as well. So you can probably send a screenshot. But do that. We'll put some, throw it down in the comment section down below, and we'll put some up on Twitter, and we'll do a Christmas. It'll come out Christmas Day, so stay tuned for that. And finally, team, we talked a lot about CryptoCharged, our community here. If you are not a part of CryptoCharged yet, I'm really wondering why at this point. You might be new, so I'm gonna take it easy on you. But Matty, man, you go ham every single day, man. I just want to give you your props. You went ham this year and the year before that. But this year was really a good fundamental year for CryptoCharged. We really set the tone this year, and I'm very impressed with your work ethic, Matty. And we put a lot of work into that. So team, I feel like every show we put out, Matty, like people are always joining the Discord. So if you're not joining the Discord, you're missing out because there's a lot of good people in there. We had one of our moderators talk on the live show last week on the website. And what does he do, Matty? He's in crypto and blockchain. What does he do for work? Because he was a great
that's
speaker.
right. He works at Rise Payments. So it's a crypto payment sector, kind of onboarding a lot of legacy people to be able to accept payments, do instant swaps for other coins, and whether it be to stable coins to Bitcoin. It's very interesting. But he did a great breakdown on a lot of the DeFi developments within Casper, NFT projects, launch pads, liquidity pools. So we try to give you guys everything. Try to look at the macro, try to look at some of the fundamentals, give you guys the technical setup. So when you guys make decisions and you talk to your friends and family about it, you're not just saying, hey, buy this because it's going to go up and I like it a lot. You feel super confident about what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? So make sure you guys are, if you guys signing up using code YouTube at checkout, you get 50% off any membership. So whether you want to go monthly, quarterly, or yearly, you get 50% off of any of those. So make sure you guys pop that in at the end. Do not pay full price. It hurts my heart to see you guys not getting a good deal.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people in the Discord that's like that, Matty, that are in crypto, in blockchain. But even more than that, we have regular people that are in mortgage and real estate that have the regular 9-to-5 jobs and that go out of their way to set the tone for their investments for the future in a new asset class like crypto. And that is so admiring to see. I know everyone in there is older than me, but it's super, people that are getting around to this hands-on approach investing. It's really cool to see because that's all I really know. Matty taught me hands-on investing since day one, but it's cool, to see other people, get that as well, because that really fills my heart and it's very fulfilling. So team, webinar, special edition Christmas show. We got that. Drop your portfolios. And finally, join the community. We're done asking you. I just want to see you in there. Join the community. We all say hi, and I'll give you my favorite, salute emoji. But that's all we have, Matty. Anything to leave the team with here?
That's all, team. I'm really excited about this upcoming year. I want you guys to be positioned now, not 6 to 8 months from now. So I really hope that you guys give me the opportunity to show you guys some cool tools, to give you guys some confidence, and hopefully make you more profitable over these coming years.
Love it, Matty. That's all we have for today, team. We'll see you next week. Adios.